does heal tissue, right? It heals.
Yeah, it heals soft tissue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's incredible. And that's what we're talking about, is because, when I talked to my cardiologist, when they told me I had congestive heart failure, I said, well, how do I heal this? They said, it really doesn't heal. You're just stuck with it.
Yeah.
Well, then I talked to Baker, and Baker's like, bullshit. Congestive heart failure heals all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
Well, my
Yeah,
doctor told me. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, man, I was just going to say it's complete nonsense. Like, you don't get much more like trauma to the heart than getting chemo pumped through it.
No.
And like, I have CAC scans done on a fairly regular basis, or year by year sort of thing, when I get tests done, and I'm completely clear. But I mean, when I go to a GP, like, because my cholesterol level is slightly higher than average, they said I've got like a 3% chance of a heart attack. I'll take that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, okay. Well, we were just talking about, well, actually, Brett, go ahead and finish your thought there.
Well, we were going back to, what the doctors were telling you, that, you're just stuck with the condition. Well, I had a doctor tell me the same thing about my type 2 diabetes. She said it's a progressive disease. It's just going to get worse and worse. And, we'll start you off on these drugs and keep checking you and blah, 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 but never really offered any kind of solution to it at all.
No, that's right. It's the same. It's the same line. It's the same line for everything. Like my blood cancer is the same. Like, there's no cure. You're stuck with it for the rest of your life. And the more you treat it, the shorter your remission periods, and the more treatment you're going to need. I'm like, it's just going to get worse from here. It's like, I've already been stage 4 twice. How much worse can it get? Like, it's just, but now I'm 9.5 years in remission, just from eating a high fat diet.
For sure.
It's not just, carnivore is not, you need more than just carnivore to get healthy and to get strong again, and anything like that. But it's a great start, and it's going to keep you on track. And you need, and it's certainly one, like, I would say, the number one thing that you need. Like, there's other things that I do outside of diet, but it's for your lymphatics, like for healing my lymphatic system and hormone production, everything else. It's just been absolutely amazing.
Right. It's kind of funny. I was looking today because in the SBG, people were talking about, man, there's such a large spectrum of people, what they think is too much protein, what they think is not enough, what they think overeating looks like, And I was sitting here, so I haven't been tracking my protein and fat really close, but since I've been doing the eggs, because I'm literally just doing the eggs because I want it, because I like the hormone benefit purely from it. And I'm getting a blood test here shortly, and I want to put a high number. I want to see my testosterone just like stupid high. So I'm going hard. I want to see this just for fun, just to get a high score. I want to have a good score. So I'm packing them away, but I went back and I read and I entered all the because I do put some bacon in with the omelet, because eating 18 egg omelets without some kind of bacon in them is not very fun. You get kind of tired of the egg profile, because I've been doing it every day now for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe even 4 now. What actually, no, it was January. So
are you doing 18 eggs or egg yolks?
No, I'm doing 18. I'm doing 36 eggs a day, but 18 full eggs per omelet is what I've been doing.
Yeah.
And so I measured that out. Anyhow, I didn't realize that the protein was this high. It's crazy. So per 18 egg omelet, I'm getting 262 grams of protein. And I'm getting, because I add the tallow in there so heavily, I'm getting 474 grams of fat. That's per omelet. I'm doing that twice a day. So I'm eating 524 grams of protein a day, and I'm eating 948 grams of fat a day, and I'm eating 10,628 calories of food a day, and I'm losing weight and getting I'm putting on muscle like crazy right now. It's so stupid, the definition that's happening in my thighs right now. And so
Yeah. So that's that's great proof that, you know, calories is absolutely BS.
totally,
All right, for a start. You know, we don't work on calories, we work on nutrients.
for
You know,
sure.
and your body needs a certain amount of nutrients. If you can pack that much food in and lose body fat, okay, then you know your body just needs those nutrients at the moment.
It does.
And like another thing is like when you talk about like go high protein, high fat diets, it's an adaptive thing as well. Like, but like I know athletes that have like your average sort of way to work out how much protein you want. You can either do it by height or weight, ideal weight. So 1 gram per centimeter in height is your but these things are the minimum, your minimum protein intake. Okay.
Right.
But for like a sedentary person. Or you can do like 1.75 to 2.25 grams per kilo of ideal body weight. All right. But there are so many variants in there too, like your lean, like how lean you are, how much body fat you have, how active you are, your ethnicity also takes into account, plus where you live, like, because if you live in a hotter climate, like a tropical climate, then you may need more, because of you sweat a lot more and things like that, and the heat. But also your age. As you get older, your dietary protein intake it's a little bit more difficult to transform into muscle protein. So as you get older, you need more protein as well. Okay. Some athletes, like I said, like you might start from like 1 gram per centimeter or 1.75, 2.25 per kilo. But some athletes are on like 7-8 grams. Okay? So like 4 or 5 times that amount. So, but it's an adaptive thing. Like if you just suddenly went like from like a low protein or low fat diet and then just started eating all that, your body is not going to know how to deal with all that, and it'll start storing it as fat.
Yeah.
Okay. You're like, and so it's a progressive thing. So like if you went from a standard Western diet to carnivore diet, for example, and then you started doing a heap of exercise, introduce it slowly. So like increase your protein and your fat slowly, and then your body will adapt to using those nutrients. So one way you can keep an eye on that sort of thing, like as you increase your protein intake, is get A1C tested. Because
okay.
If you do take too much protein, for example, all of a sudden your A1C is going to go sky high.
Okay.
So you'll get the same problem as you would if you ate too many carbs.
Yeah. Right. And so that's an interesting thing. So here's what's been interesting. When I was eating too much protein and having gluconeogenesis spikes, I was getting knocked out of ketosis, and I was watching that, right? I was watching my ketones. And what's weird is this is why I didn't think that the eggs had this much protein until I just looked today, because I really didn't care. I knew it was enough, and it was probably more than I needed. But it was because the eggs don't knock me out of ketosis. The meat was, but the eggs aren't. It's almost like it metabolizes different than the ribeye protein.
Yeah, it probably will. I mean, plus, I mean, at the moment, you're also probably more adapted to, like, because all your organs have to adapt to that protein intake as well. Your kidneys and your liver and everything like that as well. I mean, a lot of people say, well, like, high protein diet's really bad for your kidney, but that's ridiculous. Like your kidneys and other organs, they like muscles as well. They grow to the intake of what nutrients you're taking as well. They will grow and they shrink as well. So it's like I said, it's just an adaptive thing. And as the longer you are on the carnivore diet, for example, the more protein you'll be able to use and the more fat you'll be able to use as well. So
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, and I would say that I'm pretty adept now because I'm not, I'm not getting sleepy after eating this much. And I mean, my legs are, I don't know. It's like my thighs are on steroids right now. They're just, the muscles are growing like crazy right now. And I'm not doing anything special. I'm moving more, right?
Yeah.
I'm doing some squats and stuff, but it's got to be these eggs, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, there's another thing too, is, like I said, like there's a lot of variance. Like for you, like I've said before, you're a pure mesomorph, so it's going to be much easier for you. Whereas someone else with a different body type, like an android, for example, like me, like an android puts all their body fat on around the belly and chest, but they have skinny arms and legs. So,
Right.
Like it's going to be very different for that body type as well. They won't see the muscle come on so easily as you are. So if I had the same amount, the same food that you were eating, it would look very different.
I got you. So does that mean that how do you say that? Mesomorph?
Mesomorph, yeah.
Mesomorph. So does that body type so let's say that I guess it'd be hard to find a baseline between two different people, but let's say that me and you had the same the movement a day, or output of energy a day, whatever.
Okay.
Would our body types, would I be able to absorb more protein out of my food than you would before it spiked my glucose?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, like even if we were the same height, same weight, okay, you being a mesomorph, me being an android, you're going to put on muscle a lot easier than I would. So you also, like, one of the thing is your body will transfer that dietary protein into muscle energy, into muscle protein much quicker and much easier, which is one of the things about being a mesomorph. But on the other hand, that's why you also get fat easier. Okay.
So, and I also want to throw this in there. I am eating that much protein, but I'm also fasting half the week. So I only eat 84 hours out of the week and I fast 8 hours out of the week. So it's kind of works out in the longer run to half of that a day,
Yeah.
So maybe that's also, I don't want people to think that I'm.
That's going to help with your definition for sure. Like, so, I mean, it's good. I mean, because you're doing the fasting regime at the moment, like on and off every week. Like if someone just started eating all that and just kept going, all week, you're going to store a lot more fat because you're not going to be burning that much energy.
For sure. Yeah, it'd be tough. And it'd be, I mean, you'd have to be running 12 hours a day or something crazy.
Yeah.
But it was just interesting because I was just like, okay, if I gain a little weight, I'm okay with it, to try to fix my testosterone, because I felt like in the long run, I want to try to heal my hormones, because the reason why was I did the egg thing, but then I went on a 90-day lion diet challenge where I wasn't having any eggs, and that affected my testosterone. I could feel it. So that's why I'm trying to heal that before I get this, as much as possible, before I get this blood test before we do this live. So I'm back on it, but I don't know how long I'll have to keep doing that. But I did feel that my testosterone went back down when I stopped eating the eggs. So I want to do it until I don't lose that anymore. I don't know, I don't assume that I'm going to have to eat 18 eggs a day for the rest of my life. I assume at some point things are going to heal,
I mean, once your hormone production's, optimal, you're not going to have to eat all that, and you can cut it. I mean, make it easier by just eating the yolks too.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
probably what I'm going to start doing, is just drinking. Like, I heard that if you take like 45 yolks, they're equivalent in the DHEA to like 36 eggs,
Yeah.
that you lose a little bit in the whites, but hardly anything,
Yeah.
And so I've been thinking about doing like 3 15 yolk, just slam it down, shakes a day, and just do it that
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
So, because
Well,
now
that's kind of like the Vince Gironda sort of regime. Vince Gironda was a bodybuilder to the stars and like trainer to the stars back in the 70s. He was like the original sort of bodybuilding guru in the 70s, really. Mr. Universe and all natural. They didn't have steroids and anything like that. But the steak and egg diet where they just ate meat and eggs all day. They would have 36 eggs a day to increase their testosterone.
yeah, that's where I got this from, because I started looking into it because I was like, okay, because my testosterone was terrible. It was like 230, 237 was my total testosterone. And then they put me on the bioidentical testosterone replacement therapy injections, but then I heard when you put in bioidentical testosterone that your body will stop making it if you're taking those injections. So then I was talking to some people, and what was crazy is all the old time farmers and ranchers around here, they all know, like it's an old time just information to all the older farmers. They're like, if you want to stay romantic into your late ages as a man, they said you eat 24 eggs a day. They're like, you eat 24 eggs a day and you'll be fathering children at 80 still,
Wow.
Yeah. And so I was like, wow. And all the old timers knew that, they're like, they would plow through the eggs so that they could, the eggs were their natural little blue pill, right? They knew that that's how you take it.
The whole people don't live as long as they used to. I mean, people live longer now than they used to. It's this total asinine BS. The childhood mortality was high, but if they made it to adulthood, they usually live pretty long lives, and a lot of them, like well into the 80s, 90s, and longer. In even some regions of the world, I've heard of people living well over their hundreds. Over 100 years ago, 200 years ago,
right?
And they weren't now people get even close to that. They're living in a retirement home, having nurses. They're usually got a colostomy bag or some ridiculous sort of thing going on. But people back then, they were still farming at that age,
right?
There's a TV show in Japan. It's called Potentoi Kenya, and what it means is these really they sort of use Google Earth to find these really, really secluded homes in Japan, and they go out and visit them, and just self-reliant homes. They grow their own food and they do everything themselves, like cutting their old wood. And 9 out of 10, like most of them are well over their 80s, into their 90s, and some even older. And they're still, they're still running a homestead by themselves.
Wow.
They don't have a nurse come out there and spoon feed them every day. They cook for themselves. They clean for themselves. They chop wood. They do everything that a normal homesteader would do. It's incredible.
That is incredible. Wow.
It's clean food, clean living.
Yeah, it sounds like a cool TV show, although you probably wouldn't want to try that in America.
No, you probably get shot.
Yeah. Some people don't take kindly to just showing up and saying, "Hey, how you doing?"
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Man, that's so good. It absolutely makes me feel better. And I know, I don't know. I know that there's people all over the board, but man, that 80-20 fat to protein ratio works really well for me.
It does. I think it should be for everyone. I think it doesn't matter. I don't care what diet you're on, like whether you're, I think fat is absolutely essential for everyone, because we all have a lymphatic system. You know, there's 5 major organs that are designed to absorb nutrients from fat. Right? So it is inescapable that we are fativores more than anything. Protein, yeah, we need proteins as well, but not as much as we need fat, or the nutrients that we need from fat. It's so important. And I think like at least 70 to 80% of your dietary intake should be from fat. You know?
I think so. I
Yeah,
mean,
without a doubt.
Yeah. That's a really tough message to get out to people, though, because I know,
Yeah, it is.
like with my wife, you know, she can't believe the amount of fat that I eat, and I don't think I eat enough.
Yeah.
She's like, "How can you eat all that fat on your steak?" And you know, I'm taking a bite of the meat, and then putting a little fat with it, and eating it, and eating it as a bite together, and eating the whole ribeye. And then if I do have a really fatty ribeye, I'll save the fat and then I'll take it over after dinner and I'll throw it in the skillet and fry it up and I'll eat that. And she's like, "You are crazy." You know, and this is a person that's lived with me doing carnivore for the past year and it's still not sinking.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's those closest to us that are hardest to convince. But
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
it's, I mean, to me, like I pretty much deep fry my steaks, like, and I think you need to have a good mix of fats as well. You can't just rely on beef fat. You know, like seafood is really good for omega-3s. Omega-3s are really important, but if you can't get a lot of seafood, you know, lamb would be the next best thing. Lamb fat is really good for omega-3s as well. Pork is good, you know, for potassium. So I think you need to have a good mix of fat. But one thing I do is also like if I like my first meal, a lot of it will be either like bacon and eggs plus sometimes I'll just eat fat, just cubes of fat that I fry up and just that'll be breakfast, you know. And always make sure that my meat is as fatty as I can find it.
That's interesting because I've been so I eat a can of cod livers every morning for the omega-3s.
Yeah.
Because I heard that's one of the best sources of omega-3s. That's why I'm doing that.
Yeah.
And then
if it's wild caught,
yeah, it's wild caught cans of cod livers, and they're in their own oil. So it's the cod livers in cod liver oil, and I drink all the oil, eat the whole can, and then I have half a pound of bacon and 18 eggs, but then I cook the 18 eggs in 3 ounces of beef tallow, and it soaks it all up. Yeah. So I'm kind of getting the tallow. I'm kind of getting the beef fat, the cod liver fat, and the pork fat all together. Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good mix. You get all your vitamins and nutrients from that, so that it's going to be great. A great mix. You know
what's crazy about that is this is the cheapest I've eaten yet on carnivore. Because just having a little bit of bacon, half a pound of bacon, and those eggs is so cheap all day, like compared to ribeyes and stuff, that I'm getting the this is why it blew me away when I was running the macros and looking at how much protein I was actually taking down, because dollar for dollar for that much protein and fat, that's pretty incredible. Because I'm getting all that for less than $20 a day, and I'm skipping half of the week, so it averages out at like $9 a day to get all that nutrients.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it could be even better if you start making your own bacon.
Yeah, I bet that's true. And my own tallow. The 2 of the things that ran that up was my tallow and my bacon. Yeah, I could make both of those and probably get it down to $7 or $8 a day, and that's crazy affordable here where I'm at.
Yeah. Well, if you have a good butcher too, like you can get just fat trimmings, for free. Basically, they'll just give it to you because they have to pay to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll sell it to you pretty cheap.
Yeah, we're just talking about that. I'd probably make it 45 because they say that you lose some of the DHEA in the yolk or in the whites. I don't know. I definitely don't know enough about it, but it would be way easier to drink 45 yolks a day than it is to eat 36 eggs cooked a day for sure.
I think like the amount you get from the whites is actually very little.
Very little.
Yeah, most of the whites actually protein for the yolk to actually feed on.
Okay, so well then maybe just the yolks are just fine. Maybe it's all the yolks. I can just do 36 because it is, when you just do the yolks and you whip them up, man, I don't get it. People are like, oh, I couldn't drink 36 yolks. I'm like, they're like this big. They're so tiny, They're like, they don't take up any room. Like
easier than eating them cooked.
For sure.
When they're cooked, they're so dry.
Right? They're dry and heavy. But see, that's why I do it with so much tallow, and I whip them, and then I don't cook them all the way. I bring them out when they're still like runny and slimy, and I let them kind of cool down so that they're just soft.
Yeah.
Yep. My go-to lunch the last couple of days has been a pound of ground beef with 8 yolks in it.
Oh, nice.
Beef until it's all the way cooked, leave all the fat in it, and then I separate out my egg yolks and pour those in all at once, and then mix them up and just let it sit in the pan for
just 36,
maybe a minute, and just kind of whip it around and get the eggs so where they're good, and the yolks so where they're good and hot and mixed well, and then just pour it in a bowl and eat it. It's great.
That's
I really been enjoying that.
Yeah. I do that with a when I do a burger. Like I'll put a kilo of meat, ground beef in the fry pan. I'll just flatten it out, and that's it. I don't add anything to it. But when it's finished, I'll pour all the cooking oil and stuff in. Like I'll cook it till it's dry, and then you pour the fat over the top, and it just soaks it up like a sponge. You just get all that fat back into it.
Yeah,
really good.
I'm gonna have to try that. Lindy makes something called an egg colada or something. She takes like I think 6 egg yolks and a couple of full eggs, but she adds like a couple of tablespoons of butter and a couple of tablespoons of tallow, and then she whips it up in a immersion blender, and then she puts it in the fridge. And I think that if you want to, you can put like a couple of drops of the vanilla extract or whatever in it if you want to make it vanilla. But it turns into like a colada drink, like a thick, frothy drink, and she drinks it. So she said to try it. I got to try that with I think she puts warm water in there too. She uses a little bit of warm water, not much, but I think a little.
Yeah. And then it's much easier to drink the eggs than it is to cook them. As long as you've got fresh, like free range eggs.
Yeah.
I think you got to be really careful. Don't just buy like store-bought cage eggs, sort of like that's not going to do much good for you because they eat soy. They're going to pass soy into the eggs and stuff like that. So but and they have to be fresh enough that you're not going to get any like salmonella sort of poisoning and stuff like that as well. So
I got 20 of my own chickens for daily chickens, but I'm going to try to get 30 more this summer so that I can have like 50 a day instead of 20. Really they render about 16, 17 a day out of the 20.
Yeah. That's cool.
So are you having those eggs pretty much fresh from the chicken, unrefrigerated?
Yeah. They never go in the refrigerator. When I get my chicken eggs never go in the refrigerator. They last longer. You put them in the refrigerator and they'll actually go bad quicker. Once you get fresh ones, they'll last like a month on the counter just out of the chickens, But they're
as long as the bloom is still on them.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, we don't. A customer give me 3 dozen eggs fresh that he just got over the past couple of days. I was there and we were talking, and he gave me the eggs, and I've been eating them, and they're fantastic. They haven't been refrigerated. You just got to wash the bloom off, crack them in the pan, and eat them, and they've been fantastic.
Exactly. It's pretty funny showing that bloom on them because I was putting them in my Instagram, taking pictures, and I was like, "This is the reality. Sometimes there's chicken shit on your eggs when you have eggs."
That washes off. It's all good.
For sure. Yeah, and that's the reality we don't understand what we're losing by having all this bleached out, prim and proper, disinfected, watered down, bleached crap that we get from the grocery stores. There's no nutrients in it.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the thing. Like, you got to try and mimic a natural life as much as possible, and that's part of a natural life. You have your own eggs, have your own chickens, pick up your eggs. It's not a big deal. Just wash a bit of bird shit off it.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I'm going to guess the bird shit, even if you had a little bit of bird shit, is probably better for you than the shit they're spraying on the eggs in the store.
Absolutely.
Turn white.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Trying to make it that clean egg sort of look.
Yeah, sterilized, whatever. And it's like this isn't the real world we live in. We don't live in a sterilized world, and we're not meant to be a sterilized species. Like, it's not right.
Yeah. How did that ever get started where white eggs are supposedly better than brown eggs? I mean, my mother, who's in her 70s, believed that for years and never ate brown eggs like her whole life. They always had white eggs because they thought white eggs were better than brown eggs.
Yeah.
They were a higher class of egg or something.
Racist eggs.
Right. It's kind of like that, I guess.
Those are privileged
eggs. In our house.
Those eggs are privileged. Yeah, but now that
I got started.
Yeah, now that you have those fresh eggs, Brett, I dare you to go back and eat a store-bought egg and see what that tastes like. Like, that happened to me.
Yeah.
And I ran out of eggs. And I bought some from Costco, and there were some of those white ones that I had been using thinking they're eggs. And immediately I threw all of them away. And I got a 60-pack of them from Costco, one of those crates. And I got them, and I was like, these aren't even food. These aren't even real. There's nothing in these.
Right.
As soon as you taste
them, the shells are so weak and soft.
Yeah.
Like, you pick them up and they break.
Yep. Yeah, there's no, like, they're like, you got to wonder if they even really come from chickens or if they're grown in a lab or something, Like, seriously, it's crazy. Oh man,
it depends on where you are. Like, quality of food that you buy is so different. Like, from here in Australia, the quality of food that you buy from the supermarket is completely different to Japan. Last time I was there, like, the meat quality is absolutely incredible. Like, more than half the supermarket was all just meat. And the eggs, like, here, they advertise, like, they keep telling you, like, eggs are high in cholesterol and bad for you and fat and all this sort of garbage. But in Japan, like, the eggs are like, there's a great source of vitamin D, great source of this, and and they're great eggs too. Really, really rich eggs.
I'll laugh now. I think it's all funny. I ain't scared.
Never had a turkey egg.
I've had duck eggs. I've never had turkey eggs.
Yeah, duck eggs are good too.
To get turkey eggs.
Oh, let's
Most
see.
of the turkey eggs here get turned into turkeys for Thanksgiving. So I've never even seen or heard of turkey eggs for sale in Indiana. Here in the U.S. It could be, but not around here.
Yeah.
I'll put it up for him. There we go. Yeah, I don't know. It is interesting, though. I wonder what turkey eggs would taste like compared to duck eggs. Duck eggs are tasty, Man, could you imagine trying to take down an 18-egg duck egg omelet? That would be
yeah, they're a lot bigger. So
huge.
Yeah.
Those yolks
you can probably halve your intake, I'd say.
That'd be awesome. I wonder what they do. I bet they gotta have pretty good hormone properties too.
Actually, another good bird for eggs is emu and ostrich. Here you can buy if you go out west, you can buy emu eggs.
That's what Lindy just said too. That's crazy.
Yeah. People have emus here, like in their own little zoos and stuff. I've seen them around. And they have to.
Yeah, there's emu farms. We have emu farms around here too, And like an egg from an emu is like a small football, you know. So
Yeah,
Right.
it's a big
good
egg.
size. Right.
That would be funny bets. That'd be funny to bet somebody they couldn't eat like a 4 egg omelet or something to make a 4 emu egg omelet.
Bring out the big emu eggs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
look like you got a some sort of what do you call them? Ostrich
Look like
eggs or whatever.
look like a damn big souffle.
What? uh, Wrestler says emu eggs are huge. Sister hates them all the time. That's awesome.
Ah,
Yeah, that'd be good.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, and then you got to wonder, I don't know if this happened in where you guys are, but in our country during 2020 and
Scamdemic.
2021, yeah, during the scamdemic, exactly, they poisoned all the chicken food, so we had an egg shortage, a national egg
Yeah, they
shortage.
did the same here. Yeah, that was global. Yeah.
Yep.
And they started burning down, chicken houses, chicken farms, and stuff like that too, to trying to create an egg shortage.
Yep.
Mm.
So dirty, and you got to wonder, is like, okay, so there must be some powerful healing properties in eggs and beef that they keep going after those two things over and over.
Well, that's why they keep demonizing them, because you're not going to buy their manufactured garbage if you've got a natural source that's healthy for you.
Exactly.
you look at the profit margin on Doritos compared to eggs. The
Yeah,
profit margin on Coca-Cola compared to eggs.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Plus, all those foods are government subsidized. Well, I should say taxpayer subsidized. Right. Like in every sort of like food program, they like in America, you get food vouchers and stuff like that. Yeah. And you can buy Coke and all that sort of stuff. Schools store this stuff. Hospitals have this stuff. Yeah. Which means it's all paid for by taxpayers.
Absolutely.
So they get subsidized. Like you don't see a steak vending machine in a hospital. It's all Coca-Cola vending machine, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So governments keep signing us up for paying for this poison, and that's a problem. That's a real problem. They're using us to, our taxes, our tax money to pay for our own poison. And it's like
cheap. It's cheap and easy to keep all that processed food on hand and prepare it versus
it doesn't go off.
Eggs and hamburger for everybody. There's no profit in that.
Yeah, that's right. There's no profit in people being healthy either, because the food industry basically just feeds the pharmaceutical industry. It doesn't feed us. So.
Yeah, look at this shit right here. That's crazy, Lambs. This is the type of bullshit that I'm getting real mad about because right now they're making them in Holland keep all the chickens indoors, so no more pasture raised chickens, right? So right now this is a scam, right? This is something we should talk about for real and make people aware of, because right now in the United States they tried to do the GPS tracking on all the cattle and that they tag their ears and GPS track them. And they also are trying to do the mRNA vaccines in cattle and chickens right now. And they've
been trying to do that for the last couple of years in Australia too. They actually tried it on a few cattle farms. They injected them, and absolutely all of the cattle died.
Oh, okay, that's crazy. But here's what's nuts too. Okay, so this happened, and it went up for a vote to do the GPS tracking because they want to track them so that they could say, oh, if you're not tracked and have these mRNA, they want to track all of them so they can make sure they're all vaccinated. Because think about that. If every cow was vaccinated, then there would be no more clean cow seeds. There wouldn't be a way to have an untainted cow, right?
Yeah,
so they want to kill the genealogy and the lineage of these cattle, right? They want to taint the seed, right? So
they're poisoning our food supply, and once that's done, you can't get a clean supply again.
No, you can't go back. Not if we lose the origin of it, right? If we wreck the origin, we can't unring that bell. So they're wanting to track them so they can make sure they all get vaccinated. Well, we voted it down here. Okay. If you know what happened right afterwards, and I'm about to start cussing because it makes me so mad. Right after, we had the first case of bird flu that got into a cow. Do you think that's an accident?
Well, actually, I just posted on a different site on Gab. There was a newspaper article from January of this year that the US were doing gain of function on trying to make bird flu stronger, or and cross species sort of spreadable sort of thing.
Right.
And now, and like just a few months later, bird flu. Actually, I can bring those up if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Bring them up. Because seriously, we voted down. So what happens? It's another like Wuhan lab outbreak type stuff, but for bird flu, where it finally makes it into a cow and then a man gets bird flu out of it, right? They literally do that kind of shit so that they can force, they can have a scared, a scamdemic scare tactic to say, oh no, this is why we have to track all these. How obvious is it that when we vote it down immediately for the first time in known history, a cow gets bird flu?
Yeah.
Okay. Suspicious.
It's totally fake. It's an absolute red flag event.
It's just I guess it's just a coincidence that they've been demonizing meat for so long, and now there's a reason for us to avoid it. Right?
Exactly. Yep. And I mean, these are the topics that make me put the gloves on. Like these are the hills that I will die on. We're not tainting. Because what do you do? What's next? You're gonna have to start raising your own cows and chickens in the backyard, and then you get a knock on the door that says you can't have that cow because it's a danger to the humanity because it could get bird flu. Here we go.
So that's that was from, let me see, February, right?
Yep.
And next you get Texas farmer diagnosed with bird flu from cow.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, bird flu warning from scientists who say half of infections H5N1 in people are fatal. What a crock of garbage that is.
This is literally, we are watching right now the foundation of the propaganda getting laid for them to try to ruin ruminant animals and eggs. They're going after ruminant animals and eggs right now. And it's like, this is clearly because these two things are standing in the way of their agenda, right?
Yeah.
And what's going to come in for the rescue? Meatless meat.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. Everyone has to have, the only way to, avoid getting the bird flu is to go plant-based meat.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
The plant they're talking about is a bloody big chemical plant.
Yep. Yeah. They want to be able to control our health through our food. They want to be able to control the population through our food. They literally want, did you guys ever see that movie called In Time with Justin Timberlake?
No.
I really like that movie. It's probably the only good thing I've ever seen Justin Timberlake in. But it's a movie called In Time, and it was pretty cool. The whole idea, the premise of the movie is it's a futuristic movie about how you work for time. And so you would start.
Well, you do.
Yeah, you do. And on their arm, so when they're born, they have a clock. Okay. And when you hit, I think 16 or 18, the clock starts counting down and you have 1 year of time on your clock. And you have to go work and you get paid in time. So they scan your wrist and your clock goes up.
That's basically the same as Logan's Run, yeah.
Logan's Run. That's what I was just thinking.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, that's an old 70s one.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah, 70s, 80s.
In the 70s, there was a movie called Logan's Run. They have this little red sort of light in the palm of in their hand, and when they all reach 30, they all get killed. Like 30 is the oldest. That this sort of controls the population.
Yeah.
But there is like throughout, I don't know, from the 60s onwards, like there's been movies, all these movies. They're basically telling you what they want to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But and it's kind of like these leaders around the world, they're all in this big cult that is like, they think that if they tell us what they're doing and we don't stop them, then it's our fault. That's basically how they think.
Right.
And they tell us through things like these movies and TV shows. Did you ever see? There's a spin-off from the X-Files. There's a spin-off there called what was it? The Lone Gunman. Did you ever see that TV show?
I didn't see it. No.
Okay. Well, about 3 months before the 9/11 happened, their very first episode was that exact scenario.
Wow.
Like exact.
Wow.
There's an old movie called The Last Chase. You guys should see that one. The Last Chase. It was the guy that did the Fall Guy TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was an ex-race car driver, but
Yep.
the beginning of it is so prophetic. It starts off with the world's in the middle of a pandemic, a virus that went global, killed so many people, and the only way to do anything about it was everyone had to give up everything that they owned, everything, their cars, transport, everything like that, and then the only thing left were these micro cities that these 15-minute cities that they're trying to push now. No one had their own transport. There was all just these electric cars that went by, and you used them like taxis. And any sort of thought crime, like if you spoke out against the establishment, you were arrested. And like, how much of that are you seeing right now?
Right.
And it's just like George Orwell's 1984. V for Vendetta is another one. But how they took control of the world was they unleashed the government unleashed this virus that killed so many people, and yet we all had to go into these little micro cities to protect ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they do release lab grown. These are all just false flags and their scare tactics, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're using
population will. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, if you allow the government to take control off you or take liberties off you for a crisis, they're going to continue to make crisis to keep taking more liberties off you.
Right. That's 100% what we have to do is we have to stop buying their drugs. We have to stop giving these people our money. We have to start buying into their fear, and we have to stop watching their programming.
Exactly.
Literally.
Yeah.
We do that, and they're powerless. We give them all the power.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to be responsible about what we ingest, and that means information as well as food. So
very true. Very true. That's why I just don't watch the news anymore, because it's all built to stress you out.
To make it's propaganda.
Yeah. All garbage. I just,
it's exactly the same as Nazi Germany. Like back in, like Nazi Germany, they weren't allowed to turn off their radio, and it was just their 24 hours of propaganda just going. They were legally not allowed to turn off their radio.
Wow.
And that's exactly what's happening. Like, if you look at the news now, that's exactly what's doing.
Right.
And it's in every TV show, every commercial. It just keeps on going.
Sandra, I don't know if the other shoe will ever drop on COVID, because I hope that everybody's awake enough that they know that should be just an absolute shit show. I don't know anybody that's going to listen to it a second time. We didn't listen to it the first time in my family, but I don't know of many people. I mean, try talking to the ones that got vaccinated and died of blood clots. Try getting their family to buy into that again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. And there's so many people now that have adverse effects.
Yeah. So. Appreciate it. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the truth is coming out. And this is the only good thing. I don't know. Yep. Repetition, brainwashing. Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Uh,
Yeah, if you repeat a lie often,
People
it
don't
becomes
believe it.
the truth.
yep, for sure. And that's why they want to silence the truth, and then they want to buy off all the social media and turn everything into propaganda and just keep running
Yeah.
it over and over.
Yeah,
So,
that's
and I
right.
mean, we all run into them every day. It's pretty funny. Oh, I should pull this.
That's why I'm so glad Dr. Barry's starting his diabetes society.
Yeah,
To try
that's
to
awesome.
counteract the American Diabetes Association. And I would,
Yeah.
I was going to ask Dr. Avadia if he thought it would be a good idea to start an American Heart Society versus, to take on the American Heart Association.
Yeah.
It sets policy for cholesterol and all these other, bullshit things we have to live with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's easy to say, like, I mean, everything needs to change. But the thing is, we have a lot of structure, a lot of infrastructure that is very useful. But the problem is, it's the heads of this infrastructure that we need to change. Like, we can still use these systems. We could use these systems a lot, but we just need to get rid of the people that are running it.
For sure.
Mm.
Well, it's just like you can hear people repeat this propaganda and this fear mongering. Some of the most common questions I'm getting anymore is, well, how do you guys do this and get off? How do you just get off your medication, or how do you do this and when and fight your doctor? What do you tell your doctor so that he doesn't fight against you? It's like, why are we still playing in this game with these people? Like, I'm not sitting here to, I'm not giving any medical advice. I have no idea. I don't know what's real and what's not anymore in the medical field, but what I do know is I've never seen them do anything that made me healthier. So at a certain point, you just gotta make your own decision, and you gotta jump, right? You gotta rely on yourself and what you believe and God, and just go for it. And that's what I did,
Yeah, that's right. I mean, at the end of the day, you have a choice. You either keep following this doctor, and, like, if you do, think about, are you feeling any better for it?
Right.
And the other choice is to become more responsible of what you ingest, and think about, like, the information that you get and the food that you eat, and try and take responsibility for your own health. It's really not that much work. I think, especially, I think that the overreach in this last few years has helped to show people that you're like your average doctor. They don't care. They will inject people with stuff that they have no idea what's in it, but they get paid to do it. So they just don't care. They just inject it and inject thousands of people with this stuff that they have no idea of any sort of adverse effects. As long as they keep getting paid, they don't care. The ones that, like, your average, like all these, and you see these ridiculous musical numbers that hospitals and everything put on over the last few years, they're not heroes. They are complicit in one of the greatest crimes against humanity. If you want to look at heroes, look at the ones that stood up against it. They are the heroes. They didn't take the paycheck. They didn't say, I'm just doing my job. They stood up against it. Those are the heroes. So, like, whenever someone says, "Oh, but you're not a doctor," like, doctors are, like, in the top 3 highest cause of death in the world. So, okay, like, you got to weigh up to yourself what's more important. Is, can I trust the information I'm getting, or can I trust myself with eating the right food, or should I blindly keep following these white codes that are just making me sicker?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What's strange is, these doctors, they have liability insurance for, if they make a mistake. Well, that covers their butt. But if they don't give you the medication and you get sick, then they get in trouble. So they have to give you the medication. And if the medication makes you sick, they're covered by their insurance.
Yeah. Yeah. But we had, we had actually in Australia, the pharmaceutical companies, the government gave them clementine. They have absolutely no responsibility here in Australia for any of the effects that their drugs give. But they made the people they did make liable are the doctors. So, if they have adverse reaction or anything like that, they can actually sue the doctors here. So they're in a lot of people are going to be in a lot of trouble very soon. And lawsuits can be very effective.
For sure. That's more effective than a lot of things. Yeah. Right? If you can take their money.
Yeah, I mean, like, even in a country as corrupt as Australia, and I mean, like, corruption is like from everywhere in Australia, like the police force, the court, the government, everything. It's just everywhere. But even in a country as corrupt as Australia, just last month, the High Court, the Supreme Court here, ruled the everything that happened over the COVID lockdown in Victoria as being illegal. So there's going to be a lot of lawsuits come out of that too.
That's awesome.
So that's one positive step. There are positive steps being made. Problem is that lawfare takes time.
For sure. Yeah, it takes a long time to go through the legal system, and then you have to pray that it doesn't get swept under the rug and somebody, get bought out. I forgot, this is kind of off topic, but this was a comment I got today, and I put it up here so that people can see it because I thought it was a funny comment. It was on a video I was talking about our food being corrupted in our food environment,
So if you're not a buff gym bro, you can't say anything about food?
I guess so. I guess losing nearly 300 pounds in 18 months and reversing congestive heart failure and getting off oxygen and getting my mobility back and getting out, getting off all the medication. That wasn't enough, but it was just funny. That's why I was laughing so hard. I wouldn't have put this up here, but I was laughing. I was like, this guy's retarded. And I was like, actually, that's the perfect comeback.
Yeah. I tell you, like, I don't know. Sometimes you look at the longer you do YouTube, I think that the less faith I have in humanity. Honestly, like some of the stupid comments and just ridiculous people out there. Just, they're literally. I mean, some people literally want to be spoon fed as well. Like. They don't want to do any of the work themselves. They don't, and it's really not that much involved.
Well, but it's not quick. The biggest problem, because I know exactly what you're saying, because it's like it drives me insane because people want help and I want to help them because I know how terrible it is to be in poor health, right? And I don't want to just turn them away without giving them help, but they'll send me some pretty heartfelt, terrible, gut-wrenching messages about situations that they're in, and they're scared and they're lost and they're depressed and they don't know what to do. And then we'll start talking, but then so they'll go from this really heart-wrenching message, and I'll tell them, okay, I would do BBB and E, and I would get off all this stuff. And within one message, they'll say, well, I could never stop having X, Y, and Z, like immediately. And I'm like, but you just told me you were dying. Yeah. Like, are you dying, or are you dying and now you're fighting for your life, or is that not true? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, exactly.
Like I hear people that say stuff like, iodine's been huge help for me, and I know some people don't have that, but it's huge for me. And I tell people they say, I think I have a goiter. I think I have a thyroid problem. And I'm like, oh, you got to try this iodine. They go, oh, I can't stand the taste of it. I'm like, like, what did you just tell me? It's one drink.
I mean, how much are you going to drink? Honestly,
Yeah, Yeah, it's one literal gulp. Like people do shots of nasty alcohol all the time for the effect of alcohol, and you won't do one shot of iodine that could save your life, you know?
Yeah, that's right. I mean,
Sure.
there are things out there that some supplements, like iodine, for example, that would really help people, but or to make things easier. But you know, look, one of the reasons I don't sort of I don't back or promote or tell people to take these different supplements and stuff like that. It's generally speaking, stuff that they buy off the shelf is not going to help anyway. But they really need to just get back to a natural source, as much natural source as they can.
Yeah.
That's going to improve everything. But like you said, you know, there are some things that will help make things easier. But when you look at, when you start telling people that you have to go and buy this, and this, they just switch off.
Yeah, for sure.
You know.
No, and I totally understand that too. Like, but when people are telling me, you know, because I don't know, I can only relate to what worked for me, and I was having a goiter problem, and this iodine honestly has been one of the most closest thing to like a day and night miracle pill for me that I've ever had. So I must have been really deficient in it, which kind of makes sense because I don't eat seafood and I'm not by the ocean. So I don't get iodine, right? And I didn't used to eat eggs ever. I'm doing it now, but eggs are like the greatest source of inland iodine that you can get, you know?
That's right.
But then I listened to Dr. What is his name? Dr. Brownstein on Dr. Kim Berry's channel, and he talked about how everybody is massively underdosed with iodine right now, and it's getting depleted out of our soil. And then you look up and whatever you want to believe, but I think they do chemtrails all the time, and you got to wonder what that's doing to the iodine that's in the moisture in the air too, because that's how iodine gets inland. It's through the air, through the moisture in the air, and lands on the land and into the soil. So,
well, yeah, I mean, when it rains too, like like the rain cycles, like clouds soak water up from the oceans, and it sort of, and then it rains on the land, and it gets iodine and things like that. But you know, the soil that food grows in, and that even what cattle eat is depleted because we're also losing topsoil from all the crops and things like that. But yeah, there's also things like chemtrails and you know, air, even if they weren't chemtrails, there's still air pollution from all machinery and stuff that we use anyway.
Right.
And you know, it's just, we are deficient in many things. Like your average person is really highly deficient in things like magnesium, potassium, you know, your usual electrolytes, iodine's another one. Iron is another nutrient that most people are deficient in. You know, before I changed my diet, like I was very deficient in iron most of my life, like growing up. So because I was on the standard Western sort of food pyramid, you know, you eat a lot of crap food, you're going to be deficient in everything. And D deficient. And when it comes to things like vitamin D deficiencies, for example, like D is a hormone. It's not a vitamin that you ingest. So if you eat a lot of fat and you bring your it become fat adapted and become like you carry more lipids, or you produce more lipids, more cholesterol, you produce more vitamin D, more D hormone, D3 hormone, because that's what the body produces. You get like testosterone and D3 all comes from, basically just produces from cholesterol. Your liver produces it. All right. So if you make sure that your cholesterol levels are high, you're going to be 9 times out of 10, unless there's something else going on, then you're going to produce more testosterone and more D3. So your immune system is going to be a lot stronger. So that's why I say, like, you have to have at least 70-80%. We are fativores. That's why, like, people who live in the Arctic before Western diets, They never had a deficiency. They never had a T or D3 deficiency like most Western diets do. And they didn't suffer
either.
No, that's right. They had no deficiencies at all because they had a good mix of fat.
Right.
They were fativores. They ate fat from all different kinds of animals. They even ate polar bears, fish, seals, whales, things like that. So, this having a good mix of fats. But the problem is, it's just not that readily available for people. So you're going to have some deficiencies.
For sure. Brett, that's Brett's meal prep for this week.
That's right. Wanted to say hi to Andy Ty, Zero Carb. He was at my meetup. He's a native. Awesome. He's a neighbor of mine.
Oh,
he lives here in my town.
That's awesome. Nice to meet you, Andy.
Let's go back to that D deficiency. Yeah, cholesterol is very high, but vitamin D. Okay, if for your your liver product, like your your cholesterol producing D3 also relies on sunlight. So when you go out in the sun, okay, this will trigger your liver to produce more vitamin D. Okay, so it'll actually come up and out in your skin. It's actually your natural sunscreen as well. So the thing is, just eating carnivore diet is not enough. We need to get, our mitochondria basically are batteries that need charging, and you charge them by grounding yourself, like earthing. Okay, grounding. Go out and spend some time on the grass or sand or wherever you can, barefoot and in the sun. Natural sunlight will help you will help your body produce more D3. Okay, so it needs that reaction from the sunlight. It needs that charge from sunlight for you to start producing more D3. Okay, so that's a natural source. Okay, other than that, I know some people do supplement, but it's like with testosterone supplements, right? If you start injecting yourself with, say, hormone replacement therapy sort of thing, like testosterone, then your natural hormone production slows down because it figures, well, I'm getting it from another source. I don't need to work so hard and just stop producing it. Okay. So that would be my suggestion. Get more sunlight. Okay. Make sure your fat intake is high. If your cholesterol is good, levels are high, that's good. But you need more sunlight as well. Otherwise, it will trigger your body to produce more D3.
I know if Dr. Berry was here, he would say your cholesterol's high. So what? Who cares?
Right.
It's a good thing. That should be a goal.
And, our body produces like 85% of the cholesterol that's in it. So you can't really eat enough cholesterol to really affect your cholesterol all that much. So
that's right.
Yeah, we need to stop worrying about cholesterol. What you want to make sure is that your HDL is high and your triglycerides are low. That's the main one.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if you are fat adapted,
living longer.
Yeah, if you are fat adapted and you do some intermittent fasting and things like that, then you're going to produce more lipids. Okay, which is what your cholesterol is, right? But your brain is basically made up of fat and cholesterol. Right, so ketones, are also very good for your brain, for help you think, get rid of that brain fog, and it's also very good for your heart, for the firing of your heart, your electrical impulses. So, which all starts from the brain as well. So, I think high cholesterol should be your goal, and you can do that either. And dietary fat intake doesn't really affect your cholesterol levels because you actually produce more cholesterol from your liver, but you have to be fat adapted. so that your cholesterol levels will continue to rise. So being fat adapted is really important. That's why carnivore is so good. You know,
For
Yeah.
sure.
you don't want to interrupt that fat adaptation with by eating carbs. You know,
And if you're eating a good, carnivore diet for at least 90 days, our skin, we get new skin every 3 months. So
Yeah.
as long as you're eating good protein, a good carnivore diet, you're going to build a healthy skin that can withstand being in the sun longer.
yeah, that's right. Mm.
And
Yeah,
you'll
I
be
mean,
able
like
to absorb more vitamin D.
I mean, when I was younger, yeah, I would burn quite a bit, and like especially like after going, like if you're going through chemotherapies, like I was going through, I was like a vampire. If I went out in the sun, I'd explode, right? Like if I opened the curtains in the living room, I'd get sunburn, right?
Right.
But now, like I can spend all day out in the sun. I go to the beach and I'll spend all day out there. I don't burn. Might get a pink tinge, and the next day it's gone. Yeah.
14 UV days, man, that's high. Woo. I would turn into bacon on a 14 UV day. Wow.
You don't need a whole lot. Like your body will react. Less than 10 minutes out in the sun, like in good sunlight, even 5 minutes is going to help your body produce more D3. Okay, it'll make your body react, and your D3 will come out naturally. Okay, so I think there are other things that you need. It's not just the carnivore diet. You need sunlight. You need that natural light, and you need at different parts of the day. So like in the morning, first thing in the morning, you'll produce cortisol, which is a wake up hormone. So it'll wake you up for the day, so you can go out you feel more alert, more awake, and it sets your body clock and your organs body clock to produce hormones at the right time of the day. So if you go outside in the evening, for example, and do some grounding at night, you'll produce more melatonin, which is a sleep hormone. So it'll help you sleep. It'll make you very sleepy and drowsy, which is what you want. And when it comes to sleep is so important. But you produce more melatonin before 12 a.m., before 12 midnight. So, and every hour you sleep before 12 is like the equivalent of 2 hours sleep. So the earlier you sleep at night, the better you will sleep. So I always try to be in bed. Actually last week I was so tired, I was asleep by 7 o'clock at night.
Wow.
But I usually I'm between 8 and 9 o'clock. I'll go to bed and I'm up about 4 o'clock in the morning. So those are the best hours to sleep.
That's funny. I didn't know why, but there's always been, all the farmers always said the hours before midnight are the ones that count.
That's right. Yeah. Nothing good happens after 10 o'clock at night anyway.
Right.
All right. So, get to bed early, get up early, and you'll set your body clock right. This is also very important for your hormone production. If your body clock is set to the circadian rhythm, okay, there's sunlight, you're up. At night, you sleep. Okay, so light, wake up, dark, sleep. It also, for not just for your cortisol and melatonin, but for all your other hormones, it's really important that your body clock is on time. Yeah. So it makes a big difference.
I know that the earlier I go to bed and the earlier I get up and the more consistently I do it, the better I feel always.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's other things too, like sunlight is not just important for helping you produce vitamin, like the D3, but a lot of people now are using what they call red light therapy. It helps with your skin conditions and healing, basically, even wounds, like skin conditions like eczema and things like that. But healing your skin and also your immune system. But you get red light from the sun. You know, so like I know, like I've seen on YouTube that these billionaires that buy these red light therapy beds and they spend 10 minutes in there a day and say how wonderful it is. Go out in the sun for 10 minutes. It's free, you know. It costs nothing to be out in the sun for 10 minutes, right? And you get the same effect.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Those are some fresh eggs.
never had that happen.
No, that's a new one for me.
Rehatched overnight on the counter. That's great. Yeah, they're fresh, all right. Oh,
Oh, that's funny. Well, I think,
Whoa.
man, this was a fun live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Michael. Hope he's feeling better. He was under the weather and woke up with a fever today. So, and then Lindy's taking Mother's Day off. Post Mother's Day off for in Australia there, because she worked there. She's just beat. She worked because her daughter's got a flower shop, and Mother's Day is like their busiest time of year. So she put in like, I don't know, 20 some 15-hour days in a row. So she's like, I need a day off.
I think her daughter's still recovering from surgery too. So yeah, hopefully she's doing okay.
She is today. Shout out to Catherine. You're in our prayers. She's getting another eye surgery today. Right now, she's probably happening right now.
Yeah.
So shout out to Catherine. We're all thinking about you and sending you prayers.
Hope
And
it goes well.
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so everything's going awesome. But thank you guys for coming on. Help me hold down the fort while the team's down.
Anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. It was fun.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, it's a good conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you guys out there for hanging out with us. Happy Mother's Day to y'all, and happy belated Mother's Day as if it was yesterday for you. And we will see you next Sunday for another episode, and look forward to it. We'll see you guys.
All right.
Take care, everyone.
Take care.